Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. This was the Halloween edition of Monday Night Raw. It was also the go-home show for Crown Jewel, which is this Saturday, which I will not be covering Crown Jewel this Saturday. I'll be working, but I will be back to reviewing AEW Dynamite on Wednesday and SmackDown and AEW Rampage on Friday. So expect reviews of those this week. But Monday Night Raw tonight, last week's show was awful. In my opinion, it was the worst show in the Triple H era. It was the worst Monday Night Raw in the Triple H era. This week was by no means better. This show tonight was very mediocre, in my opinion. There was stuff that I liked, some that I hated tonight. But what do we get? We have Bianca Belair versus Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross is back to how the way she should normally be. That was bringing back her NXT gimmick where, she's all crazy when she was with Sanity. None of this whole, being friends, drinking coffee with Alexa Bliss, and almost a superhero gimmick that she had, which was fucking terrible. Happy that Triple H has brought back the version of Nikki Cross that we all loved and enjoyed. So that was the opening match to Monday Night Raw tonight. We also saw Seth Rollins versus Austin Theory. Karl ended up taking on Damian Priest. We had a trick or street fight because it's Halloween, so WWE has to do these gimmick things every year with a trick or street fight. And then we'll probably get a Thanksgiving street fight match when that comes, and then a Miracle on 34th Street fight before Christmas. So WWE, with their gimmick stuff, for the holidays. So it was Matt Riddle versus Otis in a trick or street fight, and we had Mustafa Ali versus The Miz. And in the main event, the Women's Tag Team Championships were on the line, where Dakota Kai and Io Sky defend the titles against Alexa Bliss and Asuka. And we also had cringe tonight before the Trick or Street fight, where you had Alpha Academy, Chad Gable, and Otis coming out, and they're Chippendales. It's like, oh, did Bruce Pritchard write that shit? Where he ended up watching the SNL skit with the late great Patrick Swayze and Chris Farley and decided to do that with Otis and Chad Gable. It was fucking awful. And then we had a WWE Investigates segment with Byron Saxton interviewing Johnny Gargano, to which Johnny Gargano knew stuff about Dexter Lumis because, of course, the way, down in NXT. And I'm like, what is this on a pro wrestling show? A 60 minutes knockoff in that segment. It was like WWE trying to do their own version of 60 minutes. Absolutely terrible. And that segment was supposed to make us believe that that was our answer as to why Dexter Lumis is going after The Miz. But anyways, Monday Night Raw, mediocre show this was. But let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with the first match of the night, and it was Bianca Belair versus Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross back to being in her old gimmick that she had when she was in Sanity. Like I said, none of this, drinking coffee with Alexa Bliss, or Alexa Bliss is my best friend. Or her being in the stupid, almost a superhero gimmick with the butterfly outfit, which was awful. It didn't get over. But I'm really happy that we're getting old NXT Nikki Cross back. But this was a decent match here. So the match started off with Nikki Cross. She ended up running towards Bianca Belair, and Bianca ended up delivering a shoulder tackle to Nikki Cross. Bianca ran the ropes. Nikki Cross ended up delivering a crossbody to Bianca. She started stomping away on Bianca in the corner. Cross ended up trying to slam Bianca on the top turnbuckle, but Bianca delivered a back elbow to Cross. Bianca then ran towards Cross, but Cross ended up kicking Bianca away. Nikki Cross climbed up to the second rope. She ended up going for a crossbody, but Bianca ended up catching Cross, and Bianca then ended up hitting a fallaway slam to Cross, to which Cross ended up rolling to the outside. Bianca was on the ring apron, and Nikki ended up tripping Bianca, and she ended up slamming Bianca's left knee into the apron. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Bianca was in control of the match. She ended up delivering some body slams onto Cross in the middle of the ring. And then Bianca hit Cross with a vertical suplex. Bianca ended up going for the moonsault, but Cross ended up getting her knees up. Cross then jumped on Bianca's back, and Bianca ended up rolling to the outside. Cross ended up jumping on Bianca's back once again, but Bianca ended up falling backwards onto Cross on the outside. And then out came the women's tag team champions, Io Sky and Dakota Kai. So the referee was distracted with both Sky and Kai. Bayley then ran through the crowd, and she ended up throwing Bianca into the ring post while the referee was still distracted with Io Sky and Dakota Kai. So Nikki Cross then pushed Bayley into the barricade. Cross ended up throwing Io Sky into the barricade, and she ended up going at Dakota Kai. She ended up delivering a crossbody to Dakota Kai. So Bianca got back into the ring. Cross ended up getting in the ring. Bianca came back, and she ended up hitting Nikki Cross with the KOD. Bianca ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Bianca Belair ended up winning the match. So, first week with Nikki Cross back to her old gimmick, she loses. And I thought WWE was going to do a somewhat fuck finish in this match. And they didn't do it. So post-match, Bayley ended up attacking Bianca in the ring. Bayley started stomping away on Bianca. And then out came Alexa Bliss and Asuka. So both Asuka and Alexa Bliss, they ran down to the ring. And we had all 6 women end up fighting in the ring. Bayley was on the ring apron, and Asuka ended up hitting Bayley with the hip attack. Alexa Bliss was also on the ring apron, and Alexa delivered a senton onto Damage Control, taking out, of course, Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. And that was basically that. But overall, this was a decent match between Bianca Belair and Nikki Cross. Even though I thought that they were going to do a fuck finish for the match, but they didn't. They made Bianca pin Nikki Cross. Overall, it was a decent match. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka backstage. Kathy Kelly ended up interviewing them. Bianca telling Kathy Kelly that things between her and Bayley are far from over. She ended up saying that she knows Bayley is bragging that she beat her twice. But come Saturday at Crown Jewel only one of them is walking out. But just because one of them is walking out doesn't mean she will walk in alone. So Alexa Bliss ended up saying they have been with Bianca. Her and Asuka have been with Bianca since it started, and they will be there when it ends. So Alexa was like, oh, let's not wait until Crown Jewel. So Alexa Bliss ended up challenging Io Sky and Dakota Kai, her and Asuka, to a match where the Women's Tag Team Championship will be on the line. And that was the main event of Monday Night Raw tonight. And you have Asuka going, Io Sky and Dakota Kai, they are not ready for Asuka and Alexa Bliss. Yeah, that's what Asuka ended up saying. And then we saw Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley was backstage. It was going to be a one-on-one interview with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. So we saw a split screen. Bobby Lashley was on one side, and Brock Lesnar did not sit. So Corey Graves was covering this whole interview with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. Bobby Lashley ended up saying that he is not surprised and that Brock Lesnar has been decking him for 20 years. Bobby Lashley, he ended up saying that he wants to face Brock Lesnar, and that would be, very good there. He said for years that he wanted to have a match against Brock Lesnar. So Bobby Lashley ended up saying that had he faced Brock 20 years ago, he would have exposed him like he exposed Lesnar at the Rumble. Like he exposed him on Raw when he left him laying by his feet. Lashley ended up saying that at Crown Jewel, he will expose Lesnar again and expose him for who he is. And that is a Bobby Lashley wannabe. So Brock Lesnar's music ended up hitting. Fans were chanting Lesnar. And he came out. He was wearing his cowboy hat while Bobby Lashley was still backstage. So Lesnar got into the ring. He got on the mic. And he ended up saying, "Good evening, Texas." He ended up saying that he did not come to Texas to have a sit-down interview with Bobby Lashley. Lesnar ended up saying that when he visits Texas, he wants to do what these good folks of Texas would normally do. And that's to fight. So Lesnar ended up telling Bobby Lashley that he didn't get the memo. And even if he did, he knows he can't read it. So Lesnar ended up challenging Bobby Lashley to come to the ring. So Lashley was seen standing up. He took off his jacket and sunglasses as what he was wearing. Lashley's music ended up hitting, and Bobby Lashley ended up coming out. Lesnar left the ring, and we had a brawl between Lesnar and Lashley. And as soon as Lesnar ended up going to Bobby Lashley to brawl, already we saw officials and referees and superstars of the mid-card trying to break up the brawl between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. Like you saw R-Truth out there, Chad Gable, Mustafa Ali, even Triple H came out. Triple H came out and they had to separate Lesnar and Lashley. Lesnar ended up breaking free and he ended up running towards Lashley. And you heard Triple H end up saying, oh, if either Lesnar or Lashley touches each other, then the match at Crown Jewel is off. He ended up telling one of the referees that. So pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this showed some hype for the match at Crown Jewel. And then we had Seth Rollins versus Austin Theory. And this was a fun match. This was a very good match here. So you had Austin Theory end up coming out first. Mr. Money in the Bank, of course, had his cell phone in hand. And then Seth Rollins came out. Seth Rollins brought back his blonde in his hair. Just reminds us of what he looked like when he was in the Shield with the blonde hair. So the match ended up starting, and the fans were chanting to Seth's theme music with the like that. So Seth was liking that. So Austin Theory ended up going for a kick to Rollins. Rollins grabbed Theory's leg, ended up tripping up Theory. Rollins ended up going for the cover. Theory ended up kicking out. Rollins ended up locking in a headlock on Theory. Theory ended up throwing Rollins into the ropes. Rollins ended up going for the pedigree, but Theory rolled out of the ring to the outside. Seth then went to the outside. He chased Theory. Theory got back into the ring, and Seth ended up sliding back into the ring. Theory ended up going for an elbow, but he ended up missing because Rollins moved out of the way. Theory ended up going to the outside, and Rollins ended up kicking Theory, and then he delivered a chop to Theory's chest on the outside. Rollins then lifted Theory up, and he ended up throwing Theory onto the other side of the barricade. Theory on the barricade. Seth ended up climbing the commentary table. He ended up jumping, and Rollins' knee ended up landing across the back of Theory's neck. Rollins then threw Theory back into the ring. Seth ended up jumping onto the top rope. Theory then tripped Rollins, and Rollins ended up falling to the outside, to which Theory ended up throwing Rollins into the ring steps. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Theory was in control, and he delivered a fallaway slam to Rollins in the middle of the ring. Theory ended up going for the cover, but Rollins ended up kicking out. Theory then delivered a right hand, and Rollins delivered a chop to Theory's chest. Theory delivered a chop to Rollins. Seth delivered a forearm, and Theory ended up delivering a right hand, so they were going back and forth with each other. Seth delivered some forearms to Theory and delivered a kick. He ran the ropes, and Theory ended up delivering an elbow to Rollins' face. Theory ran the ropes, and Rollins delivered an elbow to Theory's face. Rollins ended up clotheslining Theory to the outside of the ring, and Seth delivered a suicide dive through the ropes and onto Theory on the outside. Rollins got back to the ring and delivered another suicide dive to Theory. So Rollins got back to the ring, and Austin Theory also got back to the ring. Rollins delivered a Falcon Arrow onto Theory, and Rollins ended up going for the cover. Theory ended up kicking out. Rollins ended up going for the stomp, to which Theory ended up moving out of the way. Rollins was on the ring apron. He ended up jumping off the second rope, and he hit Theory with the knee to his face, and then delivered a super kick to Theory. So Rollins ended up going for the cover, and Theory ended up kicking out. Rollins attempted to go for the pedigree, but Theory ended up delivering a backdrop to Rollins. He ended up rolling Rollins up. Rollins ended up reversing it, and both men were exchanging near fall attempts, which I fucking hate. It looks so ridiculous when these wrestlers keep doing near fall attempt after near fall attempt after near fall attempt after near fall attempt. It's ridiculous. I hate when they do that. So Theory ended up delivering a right hand to Rollins. Theory ended up lifting Rollins up, ended up slamming him neck first onto his knee. Theory ended up going for the cover, and Rollins ended up kicking out. Theory then ended up going for the A-Town down, and Rollins landed on his feet. Rollins delivered a kick to the side of Theory's head. Theory was in the corner, and he ended up running towards Rollins. And we had Theory end up doing a standing blockbuster onto Rollins, which looked really cool. So Theory ended up going for the cover, and Rollins ended up kicking out. Theory, once again, tried to go for the A-Town down, but Rollins delivered some elbows to Theory's face, and he delivered a kick to Theory. Rollins then ended up landing on his feet, and Rollins ended up going for the stomp. Theory caught Rollins. Rollins landed on his feet again. He ended up going for a right hand. Theory ended up ducking, ended up hitting Rollins with a super kick and a forearm to Rollins' face. Theory then grabbed Rollins, ended up going for the pedigree, but Rollins ended up lifting Theory up, ended up slamming Theory on his face. And then Rollins ended up hitting Theory with the stomp. Rollins ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Seth Rollins ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a very fun match, very physical match between Theory and Rollins. Just them going back and forth. But very good match. And then we had Roman Reigns, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. He came out along with Paul Heyman, ended up walking down to the ring. We had the fans there in Dallas. They were chanting Usi to Roman. So Roman ended up extending his hand. Paul Heyman ended up giving Roman the mic. Roman ended up telling Dallas to acknowledge him. So they were chanting Usi. Roman ended up telling the fans not to worry. He got Sami Zayn and Jay out there in the world, working on becoming a little more Usi. So Roman ended up saying, enough of the Usi talk. He ended up saying for over 2 years, he has been hyping opponents. And the only thing that happens is they get to the match and they get smashed. He ended up saying that he doesn't want them to think that he is dishonest or lying. Roman ended up saying that he had to think about this and to be honest. He is the greatest of all time. He ended up saying that he is going against someone who has had 2 matches. He ended up saying that there is no way he is going to sit up and hype up a match with an outsider like Logan Paul. And I'm not even looking forward to that match at Crown Jewel. I'm not looking forward to Roman versus Logan Paul. Roman Reigns is going to bury Logan Paul, which I hope he buries Logan Paul in 5 minutes. I hope this match goes 5 minutes Saturday at Crown Jewel. You know I'm not watching the pay-per-view. I hope the match goes 5 minutes. If it goes any longer, it would be fucking awful. So we had Roman Reigns end up giving Paul Heyman the mic. Paul Heyman then end up getting the mic. He does his whole shtick saying, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. He ends up saying that he is the wise man to the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman ended up saying Logan Paul has these steel screws inserted into his hand that he is determined to throw that one lucky punch with, and that he has been training with Shawn Michaels. So he ended up saying Roman acts scared. Yet with all this on Logan's side at Crown Jewel, he isn't going to get smashed by the tribal chief. Because if there is one thing in this world on the island of relevancy that he cannot tolerate, it is an outsider. So then out came The Miz. The Miz came out, he got on the mic, and The Miz ended up saying, first and foremost, his tribal chief, he acknowledges Roman Reigns. The Miz acknowledges Roman. Miz ended up saying that he is out here to help him. He's out here to help Roman. And that no one in this industry knows Logan Paul more than him. Miz ended up saying that he technically bought Logan Paul into WWE, and that he trained with Logan Paul and taught him everything. He ended up saying, but he couldn't teach him about the right hand. He has pins in his hand that has knockout power. He ended up saying that if he doesn't believe him, he should ask Jay. So Miz ended up apologizing for not being able to help him earlier, being an A-lister, and that he has been dealing with a deranged stalker in Dexter Lumis. So Miz ended up telling Roman that he thinks they can help each other. He ended up saying that he knows Logan's strengths and weakness. So Roman ended up helping Miz with Who He Shall Not Be Named, aka Dexter Lumis. And he helps him neutralize Logan Paul. So Roman ended up telling The Miz that he is trying to cut a deal. He ended up saying that he doesn't sound too bad. But before they get to this deal, Roman ended up saying that he wants to ask Miz a question. So Miz ended up saying that this is his ring. He can ask anything. Roman then ended up telling The Miz that he thinks he likes him. Roman then ended up asking, why does everyone keep talking about Logan Paul knocking him out? So Roman then ended up hitting the Superman punch to The Miz. Roman ended up saying that they should be talking about him knocking Logan Paul out. And then you will not have any other choice but to acknowledge him. So pretty much that was basically that. I mean, I don't care about their match at Crown Jewel. I don't give a shit. Roman Reigns should knock out Logan Paul, and the match should end in 5 minutes on Saturday. Like I said, if it goes any longer, it will be fucking awful. Roman Reigns should knock out Logan Paul, so that way Logan Paul should not be in WWE anymore. Logan Paul should not even be in a wrestling ring. Like, why does this guy have a WWE contract? That I won't understand. So let it be a one-off match, and that's it. I don't want to see Logan Paul anymore on WWE television. I really don't. The match feels like Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard booked it. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, The Miz was in the trainer's room. He had a bag of ice on his cheek from the Superman punch delivered by Roman. Kathy Kelly ended up telling The Miz that Johnny Gargano has a sit-down tell-all interview, which is going to air tonight. So The Miz ended up telling Kathy Kelly that she should know that a story should never air until it is verified by multiple original sources. He ended up saying that if they air the proof piece, he will have no choice. Everyone must be prepared for a lawsuit, and that he is trying to get his match against Mustafa Ali tonight canceled. So in came Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali ended up telling The Miz that he was looking forward to fighting him tonight. He ended up saying, as they say, everything is bigger in Texas. Mustafa Ali then looked at The Miz and ended up saying, well, almost everything. He ended up telling The Miz that he has tiny balls, and he ended up laughing. God, can we please end it with the stupid tiny ball shit? It's fucking cringe. So The Miz ended up saying that he will beat Mustafa Ali tonight with a broken jaw. And that was basically that. And then we had Karl Anderson versus Damian Priest, which this was an entertaining match. This was a good match. So we had Damian Priest come out along with the Judgment Day, of course, Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley. Karl Anderson was accompanied by, of course, Luke Gallows and AJ Styles. So the match got underway. Karl Anderson delivered a chop to Damian Priest's chest, and he delivered a right hand to Priest. Anderson ended up throwing Priest into the ropes. Priest came back, delivered a spinning back elbow to Anderson. Priest then delivered a forearm to Anderson's face. He threw Karl Anderson into the ropes. Anderson came back, delivered a kick to Priest's face, and he ended up clotheslining Priest to the outside. Priest then ended up grabbing Anderson, dragged him to the outside. Anderson ended up pushing Priest back into the ring post. And Karl Anderson delivered a right hand to Dominic on the outside, to which Priest came back, delivered a boot to Karl Anderson's face. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Priest then delivered a right hand to Karl Anderson. Priest delivered a back elbow in the corner to Anderson. Priest then lifted Anderson up, ended up throwing him onto the mat. Priest ended up going for the cover, and Karl Anderson ended up kicking out. Priest then ended up grabbing Anderson, but Anderson came back, delivered a jawbreaker to Damian Priest. Priest ended up running towards Karl Anderson. Anderson delivered a boot to Priest's face. Priest ended up going for a splash onto Anderson, but Anderson moved out of the way, to which Anderson came back and delivered a kick to Priest's face. Priest ended up going for a choke slam to Anderson, but Anderson landed on his feet, and Anderson delivered a shoulder block onto Damian Priest. Anderson then delivered a senton onto Priest, and then a spine buster. Anderson ended up going for the cover, and Priest ended up kicking out. Karl Anderson then ended up climbing the top rope. Rhea Ripley got on the ring apron, and Karl Anderson got distracted. He ended up jumping off the top rope. Priest caught him, and Priest ended up slamming Karl Anderson onto the mat. Priest ended up going for the reckoning, but Anderson delivered a backslide cover, and there you go. Karl Anderson ended up winning the match. Post-match, the Judgment Day wasted no time beating down on Karl Anderson. And then in came AJ Styles and Luke Gallows. Rhea Ripley delivered a low blow to Gallows, and she was standing in the ring. Balor and Priest ended up attacking both Karl Anderson and AJ Styles from behind. Priest delivered the Razor's Edge to AJ Styles. Balor went up to the top, hit the coup de grace onto Karl Anderson. And then Dominic went up to the top, got boos from the crowd. Dominic delivered the frog splash onto AJ Styles, and pretty much that was basically that. But the OC, they need a female companion to take out Rhea Ripley. Who will be that woman that the OC chooses? Who knows? It may be, Chelsea Green. From what I heard, Triple H wants to bring back Chelsea Green to WWE. It could be her that the OC accompanies. And she could be the one that takes out Rhea Ripley. Who knows? It's all a matter of time. But the OC, they need a female companion. Some woman to take out Rhea Ripley. But overall, this was an entertaining match between Karl Anderson and Damian Priest. Very good match. Oh, God. And then we had MVP and Omas backstage. MVP ended up saying that on Friday, Braun Strowman said there is no giant in the world big enough for the monster among monsters. He ended up saying that Strowman can flip over all the trucks that he wants, but Strowman will never measure up to the Nigerian giant, Omas. MVP ended up saying that Strowman needs to get that through his Neanderthal skull, and he will find out at Crown Jewel, or even sooner, as MVP and Omas will be on SmackDown. They will be on SmackDown on Friday, and MVP ended up saying that he has arranged a little surprise for Braun Strowman. And pretty much that was basically that. This match is going to be a fucking disaster on Saturday. Who is looking forward to seeing Braun Strowman versus Omas? Calling it right now. Are we going to get a ring collapse? Watch. They might do a ring collapse. Who knows? I don't care. Get the NyQuil ready when that match happens on Saturday. Gonna be a fucking disaster. And then we had JBL. And you all know where this is headed. JBL got on the mic. He kept saying, "It is great to be in the Lone Star State of Texas." Margo, it is great to be in the Lone Star State of Texas. So JBL ended up talking about the United States being formed with Texas at the center of it all. He kept saying that Texas has always had legends, from the Von Erichs to Stone Cold Steve Austin. JBL ended up saying that the greatness of Texas has been immeasurable until the snowflakes came along and ruined it. He ended up saying that the millennials and everyone that has enabled them has turned Texas into an embarrassment. He ended up saying today is their day, Halloween, where they teach their young children to go door to door, begging for food. He ended up saying that is what this elf entitled generation does not need. He ended up saying from a Texas legend, he wants to tell them not one of them should be allowed to call themselves a Texan, and that they disgust him. JBL ended up saying, but despite all that, he is still going to introduce greatness to the state. The man who is going to save this business. Yeah, right. And JBL ended up telling them to stand up on their snowflake feet and welcome the modern day wrestling god, Baron Corbin. More like the modern day wrestling boar, known as Baron Corbin. So then out came Baron Corbin. Corbin was wearing a tracksuit. He got on the mic and he was saying, "They are welcome." Corbin is saying that he knows they look at him and say that he has it all, and they are right. He has it all, and all of them have very little. Corbin ended up saying that he wanted to come out and say thank you from the bottom of his heart that they scrapped together the last few dollars to purchase a ticket to come see him in the flesh tonight. Look at this. Baron Corbin thinks he's a fucking comedian. Nobody came to the show to pay a ticket to come see you. So Corbin ended up saying that he knows it wasn't easy, and they probably had to put in a few extra hours at the factory. But that just shows him how much they truly love him. Once again, Baron Corbin thinks he's a comedian. Yeah, look at that. So he kept saying that they all know the truth. And the truth is, and then R-Truth came out. R-Truth came out. He was wearing a cowboy hat. JBL got on the mic, ended up calling him a buffoon. And he ended up asking R-Truth what he is doing, and that he looks ridiculous. R-Truth ended up saying that he wanted to come out and wish Dallas a happy Halloween, and that he also wanted to come out and tell them both that he likes their Halloween costumes. To which JBL ended up telling Truth that they are not wearing costumes. R-Truth ended up saying, "Oh, well, you both are wearing costumes." Truth ended up saying that JBL is dressed as a mean, hostile, angry, out-of-touch old man. And that Corbin is just the world's biggest. And then Corbin ended up trying to attack Truth. R-Truth ended up delivering a kick onto Corbin. JBL then threw his hat onto R-Truth. And then Corbin ended up hitting R-Truth with the end of days. And pretty much that was basically how the segment ended. My God, this segment was fucking awful. This segment was just snore. A snore of a segment. And they have the balls to have Corbin go out there and say, "Oh, well, you all came out and purchased a ticket to come see me. Oh, yeah, I know it wasn't easy. But I know you guys had to put a few extra hours at the factory just to show me how much you all love me. Really. Them calling Corbin a modern-day wrestling god. More like the modern-day wrestling bore. Corbin needs to bring back the lone wolf gimmick. That was when Corbin was actually tolerable. Ever since they took away his lone wolf gimmick, he has been nothing, in my opinion. He's been an absolute bore. And JBL accompanied Baron Corbin. JBL's not going to get Corbin over. And then we had the Trick or Street fight. Matt Riddle versus Otis. So Matt Riddle, he was dressed as Ezekiel. He was accompanied by Elias. Chad Gable ended up coming out. He was in a white robe. And of course, they had to give him a mic. Stop giving a mic to Chad Gable. We don't want to hear him go, shush, and oh, thank you. It is absolutely fucking cringe. Stop putting a mic in his hand. So, he ended up saying that he could have dressed up as sock rats, and it would have made sense. But no one would have gotten the joke, because he's in front of a bunch of Dallas idiots. He ended up saying Halloween is his favorite holiday, and that he is dressed up as the legendary Chip. He introduces his partner Dale, Otis, and out came Otis in a white robe. They end up both taking their robes off and posing. Supposedly they're Chippendales. Just like the SNL sketch with Patrick Swayze, the late great Patrick Swayze and Chris Farley. Was this needed? Was this needed tonight? This was not needed. Nobody wanted to see this. It's absolutely awful. This looked like that Bruce Pritchard wrote the whole thing. Bruce Pritchard was like, oh, well, I watched the SNL Chippendale skit with Patrick Swayze and Chris Farley. So, you know what? This gives me an idea. I'm going to have the Alpha Academy. I'm going to have Otis and Chad Gable do the same thing. Well, let me write this down. There you go, Triple H. How do you like this? Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis come out as Chippendales because I watched the SNL skit with Patrick Swayze and Chris Farley when they did it. And then Triple H goes, well, yeah. All right, this could work. Let's put it on. Oh, God. Like I said, this was not needed. They should have went to the match right away. So the match ended up starting. Otis ended up running towards Riddle. Riddle moved out of the way, and Otis went into the corner, shoulder first, and Riddle ended up kicking Gable in the face. He ended up jumping onto both Otis and Chad Gable. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Riddle delivered a jumping knee to Otis' face. He ran towards Otis. Otis ended up pushing Riddle back down. Riddle was in the corner, and Otis delivered a splash to Riddle in the corner. Gable got on the second rope and told Otis that tonight is the night. So he ended up hitting Riddle with an elbow. Otis ended up lifting Riddle up. Riddle ended up landing on his feet. Otis ran towards Riddle. Riddle moved out of the way, and Otis ended up hitting shoulder first into the ring post. Elias ended up throwing Riddle a kendo stick, and Riddle ended up hitting Otis with the kendo stick. So Chad Gable ended up getting on the ring apron, ended up hitting Riddle with a clothesline. Otis ended up hitting Chad Gable with a knee to the face, and he fell off the ring apron through a table to the outside. So Riddle ended up going for the RKO. Otis ended up catching Riddle, ended up slamming him. Otis climbed up to the second rope, and he had to jump in off the second rope. Riddle ended up moving out of the way. So Elias had a pumpkin, and he placed the pumpkin onto Otis. He placed the pumpkin onto Otis's head. Riddle ended up delivering an RKO to Otis. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Matt Riddle ended up winning the match. Overall, the match was cringe. It's one of these gimmick matches that they do every year. You have the pumpkins on the apron of the ring. There's candy on the outside. Product placement, because most of the candy was like M&Ms. You saw like a Snickers bar there. So it was all product placement there. So, the kendo sticks looking like candy corn. So, what can I say? It's gimmick matches that they do every year. So then we saw Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai was backstage. She was telling Bayley that Alexa Bliss and Asuka don't deserve a championship match. To which Io Sky ended up saying that they were going to embarrass Alexa Bliss and Asuka tonight. And Bayley ended up saying that, I will embarrass Bianca at Crown Jewel. So that was basically that. And then we had The Miz versus Mustafa Ali. And this was an okay match here. Match started off with Miz ended up delivering some kicks to Mustafa Ali. Miz ended up slamming Mustafa Ali into the turnbuckle. He went for a hip toss. Mustafa Ali ended up reversing it into a cover, and Miz ended up kicking out. Mustafa Ali delivered an atomic drop onto the Miz, which he followed up with a chop to the Miz's chest. Mustafa Ali then delivered a neck breaker to the Miz. He ended up going for the cover, and Miz ended up kicking out. Mustafa Ali ended up climbing up to the top rope. He ended up going for the 450. Miz ended up moving out of the way, so Mustafa Ali landed on his feet, and Miz came back and delivered a right hand to Mustafa Ali. So as Monday Night Raw came back from commercial, Miz was in control of the match. He ended up kicking Mustafa Ali. So Miz ended up running towards Mustafa Ali. Ali moved out of the way, and Mustafa Ali ended up hitting the backstabber to the Miz. He then delivered some chops to the Miz's chest. Ali ended up grabbing Miz. Miz ended up rolling away from Ali, and he hit Ali with a DDT. Miz ended up going for the cover, and Mustafa Ali ended up kicking out. Miz ended up going for a clothesline, and Mustafa Ali ended up moving out of the way. And Mustafa Ali ended up hitting Miz with a DDT. Miz ended up rolling to the outside. Mustafa Ali ended up climbing up to the top rope, and he delivered a crossbody onto the Miz on the outside. Mustafa Ali ended up grabbing Miz, and Miz ended up pushing him over the commentary table. And then we see Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis was in the crowd. He ended up grabbing the Miz, and Miz ended up running to the ring. Security ended up chasing Dexter Lumis. And then Mustafa Ali ended up hitting Miz with a super kick. He climbed to the top rope and delivered a 450 to the Miz. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Mustafa Ali ended up winning the match. Overall, the match was okay, in my opinion. But Mustafa Ali got a win, which is good for him. And then we saw Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton hosted this segment called WWE Investigates, investigating on why Dexter Lumis has been stalking The Miz. And this was a fucking ripoff of 60 Minutes. This whole segment was a ripoff of 60 Minutes. So you had Johnny Gargano end up knowing the truth as to why Dexter Lumis is going after The Miz. Gargano ended up saying that he has known Dexter for years, and that he has his quirks, but he is a guy trying to make a living. He ended up saying Dexter married into his NXT family, Of course, when Dexter Lumis and Johnny Gargano were feuding, when Gargano and Indy Hartwell, Austin Theory, and Gargano's wife, Candice LeRae, was known as The Way. So Gargano ended up saying that he had to learn to accept Dexter Lumis like a son-in-law or a pet raccoon. Because, of course, Dexter Lumis in NXT, he loved Indy Hartwell. He ended up saying, but after the wedding, after Lumis and Indy Hartwell's wedding, their family fell apart. He ended up saying Dexter lost his job and fell on hard times. Gargano ended up saying that it took a toll on him and The Miz took advantage of it. Gargano ended up saying that when he returned to WWE, he overheard Miz and Dexter talking and that he recorded it on his phone. So they end up playing the recording. Miz ended up telling Dexter that he was a little snug with his sleeper and people are buying it. And that he will pay him now and pay him again next week. So Byron ended up asking Gargano if they have some financial arrangement. Gargano ended up saying that he believes Miz is paying Dexter to stage attacks and that he is a celebrity and celebrity stage stories and call the media about it all the time. So Byron ended up saying that these are serious accusations. Gargano ended up telling him to look at the footage. And it was the first time that Miz and Dexter Lumis saw each other on Monday Night Raw. And that there was no physical altercation during that. So Gargano ended up saying that Miz was never going to beat Bobby Lashley in the steel cage. And he found a way to keep the blame off himself. And that's why Dexter Lumis cost Miz the match. Gargano ended up saying that somewhere along the way, Miz must have stopped paying Dexter, and he lost control of the situation. And now, Dexter Lumis is after the Miz. So Byron ended up saying, oh, this is a shocking development. And that was pretty much how this segment ended, but this is supposed to be our answer as to why Dexter Lumis is going after the Miz. And my thoughts on this thing, I don't care. I don't care. This whole rip-off segment of 60 Minutes. Even Corey Graves was like, this is horrible. And when Corey Graves said that on commentary, I was like, thank you. Thank you, Corey Graves. What a terrible segment this was. They're making Gargano look like a comedian. I'm like, really? Main event. Damage Control. Dakota Kai and Io Sky versus Alexa Bliss and Asuka. The Women's Tag Team Championship on the line. Of course, Damage Control, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai was accompanied by Bayley. Alexa Bliss and Asuka accompanied by Bianca Belair. This was just a very meh match here. Match started off with Alexa Bliss and Io Sky. Alexa Bliss started stomping on Io in the corner. Alexa slammed Io face first onto the mat. She ended up going for a knee to Io's face, but Io ended up moving out of the way. Io ended up throwing Alexa Bliss into the corner, and Io tagged in Dakota Kai. So, double team on Io Sky and Dakota Kai on Alexa Bliss. They ended up sending Alexa Bliss into the ropes, started double teaming on her. Dakota Kai ended up going for the cover, and Bliss ended up kicking out. So Dakota Kai ended up throwing Bliss into the corner, delivered a running kick to Bliss's face. Dakota ended up going for the cover, and Bliss ended up kicking out. Dakota then tagged in Io Sky. Io Sky delivered some right hands onto Bliss, and then she delivered a knee to Bliss's face. Io ended up going for the cover. Bliss ended up kicking out. We had, later on, Alexa Bliss ended up delivering the double knees to Dakota Kai, and she followed up with a senton. She ended up going for the cover, and Dakota ended up kicking out. To which Alexa Bliss came back and delivered an elbow to Dakota's face, and then a hurricanrana. Alexa finally tagged in Asuka. Asuka ended up slamming Dakota onto the mat, and she ended up delivering a kick to Dakota's face. Asuka then delivered a release German suplex to Dakota Kai. She ended up grabbing Dakota, and Dakota ended up grabbing Asuka by her hair, ended up slamming her. Dakota then tagged in Io. Asuka ended up pushing Io Sky. Io ended up pushing Asuka, and Asuka delivered some right hands to Io. Asuka ran the ropes, and Io ended up coming back, delivering an elbow to Asuka's face. So later on, Io ended up running towards Asuka. Asuka moved out of the way, and Io ended up going back to the ring. She tagged in Dakota Kai. Asuka ended up rolling Dakota Kai up, and Dakota Kai ended up kicking out. So we had Bayley. Later on, she tried to get involved. Bayley distracted the referee on the ring apron. Io Sky ended up tapping out because Asuka locked in the armbar on Io, and the referee didn't see Io tap out, so Dakota Kai ended up breaking it up. Bianca then ended up throwing Bayley off the ring apron, and she ended up throwing Bayley over the barricade. Alexa Bliss ended up getting into the ring. Dakota Kai delivered a headbutt to Alexa Bliss. Bliss came back, delivered a kick to face onto Dakota Kai, but Dakota Kai delivered a scorpion kick onto Asuka. Bianca and Bayley were fighting on top of this equipment that was in the crowd. So they were on top of that. And then we see Bayley deliver the Bayley to belly through the table to Bianca. Both women went through the table. So we went back to the ring. Dakota Kai delivered a kick onto Asuka. Alexa Bliss ended up grabbing Dakota Kai to the outside. Io was on the ring apron. She ended up kicking Bliss down. Io climbed up to the top rope. She ended up going for the moonsault. Asuka moved out of the way. Then Asuka delivered a kick to Io's face. Asuka tagged in Alexa Bliss. Bliss went up to the top and delivered Twisted Bliss onto Io Sky. And Bliss ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Alexa Bliss and Asuka win the match, and they are your new Women's Tag Team Champions. Overall, this was a very meh match. And why did they take the titles off of Io Sky and Dakota Kai? I don't know. And why put the titles on Alexa Bliss and Asuka? What is going on here? Does Triple H have any more faith in damage control? Who knows? But overall, just a very meh match. And then we had pyro going off as Alexa Bliss and Asuka were still in the ring with the Women's Tag Team titles on them. But overall, this was a very mediocre Monday Night Raw tonight. Liked some stuff. I liked Seth Rollins versus Austin Theory. Karl Anderson versus Damian Priest. Was good. The stupid Trick or Street fight, which was gimmicky, that they do every year. Otis and Chad Gable coming out as Chippendales. Why? So cringe and awful. And then the whole rip-off 60 minutes of WWE Investigates as to why Dexter Lumis is attacking The Miz. Just a very mediocre show this was. And this was a go-home show for Crown Jewel. It did not even get us hyped for Crown Jewel on Saturday. But just a very mediocre show. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. So until then, see you all later.